I call member for Fisher.
Thanks, Madam Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security, I present the committee's advisory report on the Criminal Code Amendment State Sponsors of Terrorism Bill 2025, and I ask leave of the House to make a short statement in connection with the report.
Is leave granted? Thank you. Member for Fisher.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I rise today to present a report on behalf of the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security for its review of the Criminal Code Amendment State Sponsors of Terrorism Bill 2025. The bill would amend the Criminal Code Act of 1995 to create a new legislative framework enabling the Governor-General to make regulations specifying an entity as a state sponsor of terrorism if the minister responsible for the Australian Federal Police is satisfied on reasonable grounds that the entity is a foreign state entity and the entity or a member of the entity has directly or indirectly engaged in, prepared, planned, assisted in or fostered the doing of a terrorist act that was targeted at Australia, or has advocated the doing of a terrorist act that was targeted at Australia. Before any regulations are made listing an entity as a state sponsor of terrorism, the AFP Minister must obtain the Foreign Affairs Minister's agreement in writing to the entity being specified for the purposes of that definition and arrange for the Leader of the Opposition in the House of Representatives to be briefed in relation to the proposed regulation. The bill would introduce new offences to criminalise terrorist activity engaged in by listed state entities, either directly or through a non-state actor, and conduct by persons who would seek to support or assist such activities. In order to address potential consequences of criminalising state entities, the bill includes defences and exemptions intended to protect lawful engagement with listed entities for legitimate purposes, including humanitarian assistance. The committee received 15 submissions to its review of the bill, most of which expressed support for it in whole or part, and held a public hearing on the 16th of October 2025. We're grateful to those who provided evidence to the inquiry in what was a very short timeframe. Madam Deputy Speaker, it's no secret that this bill follows ASIO's revelation in August this year that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, had directed at least 2 attacks in Australia in 2024. These important amendments intend to strengthen Australia's counter-terrorism framework and create an environment in which it is more difficult for malicious foreign actors to cause harm to Australia and Australians. The committee has recommended that the bill be amended to ensure that the Intelligence Services Act 2001 gives the committee the ability to monitor and review AFP counter-terrorism functions in relation to the new Part 5.3a of the Criminal Code, to the same extent that it currently monitors and reviews such functions in relation to non-state terrorist organisations under the existing 5.3. The committee otherwise supported the bill and recommended that it be passed. Madam Deputy Speaker, before concluding, I want to make one final point, and this is probably as my last job as the PJCIS Deputy Chair. It's deeply concerning that, once again, this government has chosen to ram complex national security legislation through the PJCIS under impossible timeframes. In less than 3 weeks, submissions had to be called for, a public hearing held, evidence reviewed, a report drafted, cleared by security agencies and then tabled in Parliament. That is not proper scrutiny. It is a box-ticking exercise. The PJCIS was once regarded as the most respected and bipartisan committees in the Parliament, the cornerstone of national security oversight. Yet this government continues to undermine that legacy by overloading the committee and forcing it to rush legislation that affects the safety, rights and freedoms of Australians. Madam Deputy Speaker, our national security laws deserve respect, not political expediency. Enough is enough. The government must start giving this committee the time and space to do its job properly, because if we get these laws wrong, the consequences could be devastating. I want to thank anybody and everybody that put in submissions to this report, and I do want to thank the very hard-working Secretariat for putting this report together in such a truncated period of time. and I commend the report to the House.
Hear, hear.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.